Hello, welcome back. So, Star Trek Prodigy Season 2. Uh, I hope it is not the final season. We'll see, I suppose. Um, but it's great. It is really, really good. So, Star Trek Prodigy, it is an animated series. And it's very much a family friendly, kid friendly. Like it is sort of intended to be enjoyed by younger audiences. It is still, I'm pushing 40 and I'm enjoyed it. Plenty of older people thoroughly enjoyed it. But the the goal was obviously to make a show that kids would be able to enjoy, to make it appropriate for children. That's what it's to make it appropriate for children, and to really show people why Star Trek is great. And that was sort of like that's a key to it, is why Star Trek is great, why Starfleet is great. Um, and it does a really good job with that. Um, the cast is fantastic. This season does add some new characters in. Uh, Most notably, uh, there's a new character added to sort of the main crew. A young Vulcan woman, Starfleet hopeful, cadet by the name of Majel, which is obviously a reference to uh, Majel Barrett Roddenberry, the First Lady of Star Trek. It's a very nice homage to her, because she was, one of the most important women in the history of the franchise. Not the most important. The most important woman in the franchise history is Lucille Ball. Because Star Trek wouldn't have actually. Star Trek would not have ever gotten aired if it weren't for Lucille Ball. So she's the most important woman in Star Trek's history. But Majel Barrett is up there. Arguably second. Uh, so it's nice to have her name homaged like that. And the character herself, Majel as a character, very interesting. She is arguably more emotional than you might expect of a Vulcan. And it makes her very interesting. And wonderful relationship with Zero. Really enjoyed their relationship. It's never outright stated that there's romance there, but it's handled the exact same way as the main characters Dal and Gwyn. Because throughout the first season, the characters of Dal and Gwyn had a distinct romantic tension, and that very much continues throughout this season. It's never outright stated that that they're romantically involved, but you really don't have to look far for the subtext is really, really blatant. And then so Zero and Majel are handled exactly the same way. On a side note, Zero, The character is non-binary. I always kind of interpreted their voice as feminine. Apparently voiced by a guy though. I was unaware. I really thought Zero was voiced by a woman, but no, voiced by a guy. Um, so clearly did a very good job keeping the voice androgynous. And yeah, the character obviously non-binary. Some other characters added to the season. Uh, Admiral Janeway, the real one, not just the hologram one. Chakotay shows up from Voyager. He's a major element to this season. Robert Picardo back as the Doctor. Always great to have him. And Will Wheaton returns as Wesley Crusher in a pretty sizable role. Yeah, like he showed up briefly at the end of Star Trek Picard season 2, and it was kind of a nothing role at all. Like it felt like it was meant to be teasing, sort of testing the waters to see if people would be interested in a show about woman he went to recruit, and but yeah, it sort of felt a little bit. It didn't really. It wasn't really. It was. It was very much just a. Hey, it's Wesley thing in Picard. Whereas here, he actually they actually put thought into the character, and handled him really well. Yeah, it's a very interesting role they give him. There's also a cameo from Gates McFadden as Beverly Crusher. So, yay! And another cameo from Akana from the Outrageous Akana episode of Next Generation. He shows up again because why not? And some other, and plenty of other people as well. Oh, Jellicoe, Captain Jellicoe, now an admiral here. Fun seeing him show up again from Next Generation. So, some really good cameos there. As for the story, it's a really interesting story they came up with. Um, time travel is one of those things that people are going to either enjoy or despise. I honestly tend to enjoy time travel stories, and this one has a really well done time travel story, and interesting new threat in the Loom, a species who eats broken timelines. They were very cool. And it kind of helps that the characters themselves kind of hate the time travel stuff. I think helps to make it a little bit more palatable. And they sort of try to explain it in ways that young viewers will be able to understand. They try to find ways to break it down into, despite how complicated the actual story itself is, despite how complicated the actual time travel stuff is, they explain everything in a really simple, easy to understand manner, which does help a lot. As far as characters, Dal gets really good character development this season. First couple episodes, he annoyed me. Like, first couple episodes of the season, he kind of annoyed me. Because he was back to the sort of cocky attitude that he sometimes showed in the first season. And that's just a personality type that annoys me. But he did improve over the course of the season. And his growth, his character development was really good. Gwen had some good character development as well, going from you know, Acacia into being sort of a leader, and someone who still made mistakes and tried to learn from that. Yeah, she's a good character. Zero also had really good character development with her sort of wanting to be able to feel things, feel sensations, and like I mentioned, her relationship with keep saying her. But yeah, Zero had good with their desire to feel things, to have sensations, and their relationship with Majel. Chakotay got a nice little character arc to himself in this season as well. The animation's good. It's a very, it has a very nice animation style. It's very smooth and all that. The writing is very sharp. Knows how to have a good balance of humor, drama, tension, relief. It knows how to strike the balance. It's also a show. Prodigy. One good thing about Prodigy, it knows how to use nostalgia properly. It doesn't hit you over the head with it the way some other Star Treks Picard tended to do. Like a lot of Voyager, especially like a lot of Voyager nostalgia in particular, because Janeway, Chakotay, and the Doctor. But even if you never watched Voyager, you could still, it still sold the relationships between various characters, and it told you who these characters are, and helped you to care about them in the context of just this series. It didn't require that you watch previous series in order to previous shows in order to know who these characters are, what their relationships are, and to help you care for them. Same with Wesley, even really, who's very, very different from how he was ever presented on Next Generation. He is wildly different from his Next Generation presentation, which is just really cool to see for someone who watched Star Trek, who watched show back then, to see that he is, not the person he was back then. That he has changed. So yeah, I like that it doesn't sort of dwell on nostalgia. One exception, final episode does have a few minutes dedicated to nostalgia of Star Trek Prodigy itself. if in case, I guess in case it doesn't get renewed, it's just sort of like memories of the time that they spent with these characters, and it's done really well, and it's you know it's a really good scene. Because of the context around it. The series does also end with plot hook if they want to continue on, like they've got a spot to continue on from if Netflix does decide to renew it. Um, that said, this is season 2, and we know how Netflix feels about canceling things after second season. But this is only the first season on Netflix, so will they give it a third? So will they give it another season on Netflix before canceling it? 2 seasons on Netflix and canceled, or is it just the fact that it's season 2 and they canceled? Anyway. So yeah. I do hope they do get a third season because this season was really strong. First season was great. This season was great, and helped to one of the strengths of this season was that the way it often sort of defied expectations in a lot of places, or played with expectations. With time travel being involved, there are certain characters seen in this first season that are seen again in this season who are presented differently. I will say one thing. There was one character who seemed like she was being set up to play a fairly major role and kind of didn't. It would have been really cool to see that specific character play a major role in the climax, or at least in one of the climactic fights that was going on. Because it genuinely seemed like that was the goal. Like, it genuinely seemed like that was the direction they were going. And then, she shows up, but she doesn't really play as big a role as I would have expected. I'm trying to avoid spoilers. If you watch the show, you might know, you might be able to guess what I'm talking about here. But anyway, yeah. So they do that aside. There's some pretty interesting ways that expectations are played with. Um, and just the whole thing is just very good stuff. It's a really strong Star Trek series. Up there is probably one of the best Star Trek shows. Also does a really good job of balancing, because they get 20 seasons an episode, because they get proper seasons, they're able to do a good job balancing the ongoing plot with sort of more bottle episodes. Those bottle episodes still contribute to the larger story that's being told, but they're able to just be their own thing. They're able to still tell an isolated story that is not necessarily integral to the larger plots or any of the ongoing subplots. The longer seasons definitely help. Even if each episode is only 30 minutes long, even if they are shorter episodes, not even 30 minutes long. Yeah, the shorter, even with shorter episodes, the fact that each episode gets to that they have the freedom to do more isolated episodes whenever they need to. Um, so anyway, yeah, excellent series. Definitely something that I enjoyed. I hope it does get another season, though I don't really expect it to. And then I forget what the next Star Trek show is. I forget what the next one's going to be. Is it Lower Decks next? Is it Lower Decks or Strange New Worlds that gets the next? The it's like probably I think final season of Lower Decks, which is a shame by the way. Lower Decks is freaking amazing, but I think the final season of yeah, final season of Lower Decks is going to be the next Star Trek show coming out later this year. And it's a damn shame that that show's ending. That show should have gotten as many seasons as the creators wanted, frankly, because it's so good. Um, yeah. So those are my thoughts on Star Trek Prodigy Season 2. Um, I liked it. So thanks for watching me. And I'll see you in another video. Live long and prosper.